Nancy Hernandez and the Black Widows. It was the next morning. EMTs placed Ratita's lifeless body on a gurney and covered it with a sheet. EMTs rolled her past Dean Chantel, who just shook her head. Several teachers looked on, Buckwalda and Wolfface among them. Wolfface muttered,
"This shit is muy malo."
At that moment across campus, Detective Milk sat in the detention room, tapping his fingers on the table. Shorty sat across from him, chewing gum, holding back her emotions.
From the looks of things, it appears she tripped and fell down the stairs. Or she was pushed. We discovered this.
Detective Milk showed Shorty a pic on his phone. It was a picture of the side of the greenhouse. A large graffiti tag was there, except Ratita's name had been crossed out by scratches.
It's obvious someone targeted her. You want to tell me who's got beef with the widows?
Shorty looked at the photo and sneered.
Ugh, are we done?
Meanwhile, down the hall, Officer Mann sat at her desk, looking very troubled. There was a soft knock at the door.
Come in.
Nancy's sister, Esmeralda, entered.
Hi, I got a summons.
Sit down, Esmeralda.
Esmeralda took a seat. Mann reached into her pocket and took out Nancy's cross. She set it down on the table in front of Esme. A look of confusion and pain washed across Esmeralda's face.
Do you recognize this?
That's Nancy's. How'd...
I found it in her old locker last night. I can't explain it. But that belongs to you and your family. Take it, please.
As tears began to run down her face, Esmeralda reached slowly down and took the cross. An hour or so later, the widows gathered together at the widow's nest. They were grieving. Some were crying. Roach was punching walls with her bare fists.
Motherfuckers! Whoever fucking killed her is gonna pay!
Shorty stood up and wiped her tears away.
Get it together, locas. Widows don't cry. We multiply.
Just then, they heard footsteps coming from below. They all grabbed weapons and got ready to fight. But then they saw their visitor was just Tattletale.
Chill, it's just Tats. What's up? You hear anything?
Tattletale nodded. Dulce chimed in.
Bet they're saying it was the piranhas.
Cállate. Let her talk.
Well, everyone is kind of saying that it was Nancy.
Everyone looked at each other. An expression of fear washed across their faces.
A ghost. For reals? You're fucking kidding me.
Just telling you what I heard. Gotta admit, it's kind of weird how Nancy's vest suddenly showed up like that.
Yeah, and how our phones died, too.
Before they upped my meds, I used to hear ghosts talking to me all the time.
Shorty rolled her eyes.
Ain't no spook that killed my homegirl. It was them pinche piranhas. Bet. Put eyes on them. Once we get confirmation, we're taking all those bitches out.
The rest of the widows nodded in agreement. But Poyita whispered quietly to Tattletale.
But what if it's her?
Tattletale didn't have an answer for that. At that moment, back at Sepulveda High, Clem's band was rehearsing, except Clem wasn't singing. He was standing in front of the microphone with his head down, lost in thought. The rest of the band didn't know what to do. Finally, Che, the drummer, waved his hands in the air and the band stopped playing. Hector, the bass player, turned to Clem.
Dude, you gonna sing or what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just not up for rehearsing today.
No worries. Let's just call it.
The band put their instruments away and left. Except Che stopped to talk to Clemente.
If, you need to talk to someone, hit me up.
Clemente nodded. Che patted him on the shoulder and left. After everyone was gone, Clemente took out his phone and started scrolling through his social media posts.
I still can't believe you're gone. What happened to you?
I just wish I could tell you.
Sitting nearby in a chair, watching him, was Nancy's ghost. She was wearing a black dress, and her pale, ghostly flesh was covered with Day of the Dead makeup.
But you can't see me or hear me? No one can, except at night. Why is that?
Nancy hung her head, looking sad and frustrated.
But there are no answers. I'm just stuck here. Alone.
She reached out for Clem's hand, but he didn't feel her touch. Instead, he shivered, feeling a chill.
So close, and yet so far.
Clemente got up. He picked up his guitar and started playing.
That's pretty.
Nancy started to sing along to the melody. Clemente tapped his phone and began to record himself. But his phone suddenly rang. He stopped playing.
Yo, Hector. Yeah, I'm fine, bro. Just, working things out. Okay. I'll see you in a minute.
Clemente hung up and put his guitar away. As Nancy looked on sadly, Clemente left.
Bye.
Alone again, Nancy hung her head. But just then, she heard a girl's faint voice.
Nancy.
Nancy recognized the voice.
Esmeralda?
At that moment, Esmeralda was standing outside the back gate of the school, in front of a small memorial for Nancy left by the community. The memorial consisted of flowers and cards and pictures. Esmeralda was kneeling. She had Nancy's cross in her hand.
Please, leave me a sign. Let me know that you're alright.
Suddenly, Nancy's ghost appeared on the school side of the fence.
Esme, I'm right here.
Esmeralda didn't react. Nancy tried to walk towards her through the fence, but suddenly she felt weak. A force seemed to be holding her back. She had to retreat.
Why can't I leave? Son of a bitch!
Just then, Esmeralda heard a voice behind her.
I hear you, Esmeralda. It's me, Nancy.
Esmeralda turned and saw Roach's cousin, Ricky, and his friends standing behind her.
Here's your sign.
Ricky let out a fart. Esmeralda tried to walk away, but came face to face with Roach, who was blocking her path.
Not so fast, you little shit. We got business to settle. You mess with my primo, it's payback time.
Roach grabbed Esmeralda and yanked her away from the memorial. Seeing this, Nancy shouted out.
Leave her alone!
But no one could see or hear Nancy. Ricky got in Esmeralda's face.
Too bad your dad's sis is busy eating worms and can't help your stupid ass.
Roach looked down and saw Nancy's cross in Esmeralda's hand. She snatched it away from her.
What's this shit? Wait, did this belong to Nancy?
Just give it back, please.
Roach dangled the cross in front of Esmeralda, and then tossed it to her cousin Ricky. They started tossing it back and forth, playing keep away, as they laughed and taunted Esmeralda. Just then, Roach's cousin Ricky threw the cross too far and it landed on the sidewalk near the fence. Esmeralda ran over to it and tried to pick it up, but Roach stepped on her hand. Esmeralda howled in pain. Seeing her sister abused, something snapped inside of Nancy. Her eyes began to glow red, and the colorful Day of the Dead makeup faded away from her skin. Shadows enveloped her. She looked like a dark, wraith-like version of herself. She let out a growl. She thrust her pale hand between the bars of the fence and grabbed Roach's hair. Roach struggled, but she couldn't free herself.
What the fuck, prima? You okay?
I don't know, my hair's caught on something. Don't just stand there. Help me, pendejo.
Roach's cousin Ricky reached for her hair, but something struck him in the face, sending him flying backwards. Nancy's dark ghost suddenly shoved her hand into Roach's open mouth. Roach dropped to her knees, gagging. Then she staggered to her feet again, looking woozy, holding her stomach. Something was wrong. In a panic, Roach grabbed her belly and lifted up her shirt. Small bumps were appearing on her stomach. As it grew larger, they were moving around. Roach's throat suddenly swelled up. She couldn't breathe. She fell on her back, writhing in agony. Then suddenly she opened her mouth, and a stream of roaches shot out, spraying her cousin and his friends. Roaches continued to pour out of her mouth, clogging her throat as she writhed on the ground. Finally, she stopped moving. Esmeralda grabbed her cross off the pavement and ran away. Roach's cousin Ricky and his friends took off running too. Unseen, the dark version of Nancy's ghost stood at the fence, looking down at Roach with glowing red eyes as she hissed out a wicked laugh. Then suddenly the darkness left her, like a shroud being lifted. Her horrific wraith-like features faded, and the colorful Dia de los Muertos markings returned to her ghostly face. Nancy's ghost looked up and saw Esmeralda running away. She called after her.
Esme! Esme! Come back.
But Esmeralda kept running. Nancy's ghost hung her head, weeping, as she slowly faded away. A short time later, Roach's body was loaded onto a gurney. Detective Mel conferred with the medical examiner, but the medical examiner just shrugged and shook their head. Nearby, Officer Mann was bent down, examining the spot where Roach died. She looked up at the memorial to Nancy on the fence, staring at it, wondering. Suddenly a loud yell rang out. Officer Mann turned and saw Shorty and the other widows arriving on the scene. They were distraught, devastated. Shorty pushed her way past the police officers and ran over to the gurney. She clutched Roach's cold hand as tears streamed down her face.
No, this can't be happening. This is a joke. Roach, get up. Come on, bitch. Don't quit on me.
Dean Chantel glanced at her and shook her head.
I guess widows do cry after all.
That evening, Shorty and the other widows were gathered together in their hideout. Each one had a small lit candle. They stepped forward solemnly and placed them on a small altar they'd made for Ratita and Roach. The altar had each girl's picture on it, along with a jar full of real Black Widow spiders. Ratita's knife and other sentimental objects were placed there as well. Shorty passed around a joint. The widows each took a hit as they put their candles on the altar.
Here's to you, my sweet fallen widows. You were more than just our homies. You were family, our sisters, our blood. We'll always have your backs, even in death, as you always had ours in life. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Suddenly they heard a loud banging sound coming from downstairs.
What the fuck?
Go see who it is.
Tattletale went over to a boarded up window and peered outside. Someone was standing in front of the abandoned building. Their face was hidden underneath a hoodie.
Yo, who's down there?
The hooded figure lifted their head up. Tattletale saw that it was Roach's cousin Ricky.
It's me, Roach's cousin Ricky.
What do you want?
Ricky turned his head to reveal the scratches left by Nancy on the side of his face.
I need to talk to you guys.
A short time later, the widows were all gathered around Ricky. He was trembling as he spoke.
I ain't lying. I swear to God, something had her. When I tried to help her,
He pointed to the scratches on his face.
Listen to me. I haven't been able to stop shaking. That was high-key the freakiest shit I ever seen.
Ricky gestured to the joint in Poyeta's hand. Poyeta handed him the blunt.
Poor Roach.
Shorty walked across the room, thinking. Meanwhile, Face turned to the others.
You know me. I don't buy into any of this supernatural crap, but I gotta admit, bro's kinda convincing.
Bet. It's Nancy. She's getting her revenge, picking us off one by one.
That's what I keep telling y'all. I may be loca, but that don't mean I'm crazy.
It's her. I'm sure of it now.
What are we gonna do then? We can't kill a ghost. Can we?
How the fuck would I know?
I know someone who does. Tia Linda.
Who the hell is she?
She's a bruja. She lives in this wretched old house down by the river. My parents always told me to stay away from her.
She reads fortunes. But I heard for the right price, she'll put a curse on someone for you.
That ain't no lie. She practices the Santeria Negra.
There was a woman who lived in our building who went to see her once. I guess she was having beef with this other lady over some dude. They say Tia Linda told her to swipe this woman's chancla and bring it to her. Next day, her rival had a stroke and went into a sudden coma.
I heard that story too. If anyone knows how to fuck up a ghost, it's that evil bitch.
I want to meet her.
Right at that moment, back at Sepulveda High, Miss Buckwalt stepped out of her classroom. She started down the hall when suddenly the lights began to flicker again. And then they went out.
Hello? Is someone there?
In the darkness, Miss Buckwalt heard a scratching sound. Suddenly, the lights came back on again. Miss Buckwalt gasped. A message was scratched into the wall in front of her. It read, "I'm a monster." Miss Buckwalt looked around and called out,
Nancy, you're not a monster. You're just a confused, lonely girl. Let me help you.
but there was no response.
Nancy, please! Don't give up hope.
Down the hallway, the door to the gym opened and closed. Miss Buckball waited a moment, and then headed to her car. It was the middle of the night. The Black Widows approached a run-down old house that sat at the end of a lonely street by the river. There was a sign in the front window that said, "Psychic Readings." The Black Widows stepped up to the front door. Shorty rang the bell. A voice called out to them.
It's open. Come in.
The Black Widows stepped inside. The inside of the rundown house was surprisingly neat and tidy. It looked bigger than it did from the outside. Strange artwork decorated the walls. The widows walked through the house, following the sound of humming. They entered the kitchen. Tia Linda, an elderly woman, was hunched over a bubbling pot on the stove. She was smoking a cigar.
Yo, you Tia Linda?
The one and only. And your Shorty. Face, little chicken, tattletale, and dulce.
How you know our names?
Tia Linda just smiled and dipped a spoon into her pot. She scooped out some dark goo and held the spoon out to Poyeta.
Here, taste this.
What is it?
A potion that'll turn you into a frog. I'm kidding. It's just chili.
Poyeta gave it a taste.
That's hella tasty, bro.
It needs more cilantro, no?
Poyeta nodded. Tia Linda threw a pinch into the pot. Then she gestured to a small kitchen table.
Have a seat. Anyone hungry? There's plenty of chili to go around.
With all due respect, Senora, we didn't come here to grub.
Sissy, you came to talk business. The spirits already told me. You murdered this girl, Nancy Hernandez. But now she's getting payback.
Hold up. I don't know where you're getting your news from, Senora. But we didn't kill nobody.
Kid, I don't have time to do a cumbia with you. If you want my help, cut the bullshit. There's something else I know. This is no ordinary ghost you're dealing with.
What you mean?
She's strong, this one. But the darkness is stronger. The more she uses it to get her revenge, the more it claims her. Soon, she'll turn into a vagabunda, a wandering shadow consumed by shame and regret.
Fascinating. But how the fuck do we bounce the bitch?
That takes elite skills, and they don't come cheap. For a price, I can make a potion that will send her soul straight to hell.
Oh, I like the sound of that. How much plot are we talking about?
Tia Linda took out a pencil and wrote a number down on a piece of paper. She showed it to the widows. Their eyes went wide.
Seriously?
Do you offer some type of financing plan?
That's bootleg lady. We don't even know if your voodoo shit works.
Pay half up front. If you're not satisfied, I'll give you a full refund. Mira, I'll even give you a discount if you do me a favor. Once the potion activates, there'll be a moment before her spirit departs for the underworld. If you're quick, you can catch her soul in this.
Tia Linda removed an empty glass jar off a shelf.
Bring it to me, and we'll call it even.
What are you gonna do with it?
Tia Linda smiled and puffed on her cigar.
That's my business.
The widows looked at Shorty.
You got yourself a deal, senora.
Excelente. I'll need you to bring me something then.
The next day, Mrs. Buchwald's classroom. Students worked quietly as Miss Buchwald walked around the room, checking on their work. Just then, Tico approached her.
Miss Buchwald, can we move to the front of the room? It's freezing back there.
Miss Buchwald noticed that several students sitting near the back of the room were either shivering or putting on jackets.
Yes, that's fine.
Tico went back to his seat to get his work. Unseen, above him, was Nancy. She was sitting on the ceiling, upside down. She looked unhappy, lost in thought. She was writing a word in the dust with her finger. Why? Miss Buchwald glanced up at the ceiling. She didn't see Nancy, but she could sense her presence. She turned back to her students, hiding her concern. Across campus, Esmeralda sat in front of Officer Mann in her office. She was wearing Nancy's cross around her neck. Detective Milk was there, flipping through her sketchbook.
You didn't see anything strange or unusual? Think hard.
There's nothing to tell. Roach was bullying me, then suddenly she started choking, so I just ran away.
Wanna explain this?
Detective Milk showed Esmeralda a sketch from her book. It showed Nancy as a dark spirit strangling Roach.
I'm trying to work through my feelings. My art teacher says it's therapeutic.
Detective Milk pointed at Nancy's cross around her neck.
That cross belonged to Nancy.
Officer Mann says she saw you put it in her coffin at the funeral. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did it wind up here at school then?
I don't know.
Esmeralda, objects don't move by themselves. I need you to tell us the truth.
I am.
Detective Milk suddenly slapped the table with his hand.
Stop lying.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Why can't you just leave me alone?
Esmeralda started to cry. Officer Mann sighed.
It's okay. We're done here. Go back to class, Esme.
Esmeralda picked up her things and quickly left.
That was out of line. That poor kid's still in mourning.
She's hiding something.
Or maybe she's just too freaked out to say what she really thinks.
Which is what? That her sister is haunting the school?
You got a better theory?
Yeah, lots. But the one I'm starting to zero in on is that some sicko is killing these girls. And they're using this ghost crap to cover their tracks.
Any suspects?
Detective Milk walked over to the window. he spotted Wolfface walking through the quad, sprinkling water from a vial and crossing himself.
I'm starting to get some ideas.
Meanwhile, in the quad, Clemente and Hector sat together, sharing a pair of headphones. They were listening to the new song that Clem had written. Suddenly, they were both hit with a dash of water. They looked up and saw Wolfface.
What the hell, Wolfie?
Sorry, my bad.
What are you doing, man?
I'm cleansing.
Wolfface sauntered off, continuing to sprinkle holy water. Hector shook his head, then turned back to Clemente.
Bro, this new song is awesome. I think it's the best one you ever written.
You think the band will go for it?
They have to be deaf not to.
Any improvements?
The backup vocals. You can barely hear them. You need to bring that girl's level up.
Clemente looked confused.
What girl? It's just me.
No. There's definitely a girl singing harmony with you. Play the chorus again.
Clemente rewound the song and hit play. He listened very carefully. Ever so faintly, an ethereal voice could be heard singing along in the background.
Hear it? It's real faint, but it's there.
Clemente's eyes went wide. He recognized Nancy's voice.
Oh my God.
A short time later, Clemente's band huddled together as Clemente played his song on the speakers in the rehearsal space.
I hear her voice, but couldn't it just be a track left over from the last jam?
This is a brand new song. I just recorded it yesterday.
Holy shit. That's trippy, bro.
It's just like that EVP shit where ghosts can be heard on radios.
She sounds so sad and lonely.
You think she's here right now? Nancy! ¿Estás aquí?
They waited a moment for a response, but nothing happened.
Maybe she's just not in the mood to talk right now.
Clemente suddenly got an idea.
Or maybe she can't. Hey, grab your instruments. I want to try something. I'm wondering if there's something about music that allows her to communicate more easily, you know?
Right. Maybe it creates a bridge between her world and ours.
Let's play and see if she jumps in, yeah?
With the shot?
Clemente hit record on his phone.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Nearby, Nancy was drifting through the hallways, looking sad and depressed. Suddenly she heard the music coming from the band room. As the song played, she perked up. She turned and began following the sound of the music. At that moment, however, Tia Linda stepped out of her house and picked up a package left on her porch by Shorty. Tia Linda opened the package to reveal a Sepulveda High yearbook. Moments later, Tia Linda went out to her backyard. She grabbed a chicken that was running around and cut its head off with an axe. She went back inside her kitchen with the headless bird and poured its blood into a pot. Then she hung a cross upside down over the pot and began mixing herbs with the chicken blood. Then she took out the yearbook that Shorty had left her. She'd cut a picture out of it. It was Nancy's. She held it over the pot, took out a match, lit it, and set the picture on fire. As the ashes fell into the potion, she began mixing them together while mumbling strange words. Back in the rehearsal studio, Nancy drifted into the room. She began to hum along to the song. But suddenly, she doubled over in pain. She looked down at her ghostly hand, and it suddenly burst into flames. Nancy let out a scream as her hand crumbled to ash. In a panic, Nancy's spirit fled from the room, knocking over some musical stands as she disappeared through a wall. Clemente's band looked up in surprise. Nancy's spirit reappeared in the locker room. She looked down at her burnt-off hand, but to her astonishment, Her ghostly hand had returned to normal. Nancy stared at her hand, shivering with fear. At that moment, back in the Black Widow's hideout, Shorty was feeding her pets. She was dropping flies into a jar full of Black Widow spiders. Just then, Shorty's phone vibrated. She checked it. It was a text message from Tia Linda. It read, "Your potion is ready." Shorty smiled. End of chapter 3. Stay tuned for more episodes of Nancy Hernandez and the Black Widow.